about to meet. Let me start off tonight by welcoming people who are tuning into this after we've filmed our webcast. We're delighted that you've taken the time to click on the link and engage for at least a few minutes with us here and consider for yourself what it might be like to have the chance to roll with the Catalyst through 4 amazing classroom cities this summer over 5 weeks while you earn 6 academic credits at your university. I'm going to now add, let's see, I'm going to add one more person to our stream. Here comes Sophia.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. So glad you're here. We're all going to introduce ourselves here. We've got folks watching us live from UL Monroe and from the University of Wisconsin River Falls, from Morgan State University out in Baltimore, from UNC Asheville, and from parts unknown from Austin Peay State University in Tennessee too. So I want to just quickly say we're fired up that all of our guests are here to help us tell the Catalyst story and answer questions that psychology majors in particular, health sciences, and pre-pharmacy students might bring to tonight's considerations. If I could, I'd like to have folks introduce themselves. And Dr. Noble, one of my dearest friends on the planet, could you tell folks who you are to the Catalyst and what your story is with this program?
Check your mic. I don't know if you can hear.
Joni, are you muted?
How about that?
Better.
I'm Joni Noble. I'm a professor of art at the University of Louisiana Monroe, and I've been working with Doug on different programs, study abroad programs, for about 15 years. And this year, I'm going to be the artist in residence on the Catalyst. But in years past, I've taught photography classes to the Catalyst students, and I'll be working with you this year on helping you with some photography skills and maybe an art museum or two.
Fantastic. Joni, you know we love traveling with you. You bring such an open, warm heart and such creative fire to our program, and you're still the only one of us who's ever gotten the whole faculty and staff team dressed up to march into the British Summer Royal Exhibition of Art, where
That's
you
right.
were featured artist. So we're super proud of you.
That was great.
Fantastic. So I'd like then Keenan Walker, you and I go back to ages ago. I'd like for you to introduce yourself and tell quickly about your story with the Catalyst, with study abroad, and you know why the heck we all are in such a love fest as we are. Are you muted too, Keenan?
Yes, I was.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. So I was a student in earlier iterations of the program, and I came back and worked as a coordinator. It really helped get me through a lot of personal struggles I was going through with just trying to find some direction in my life, and helped me prioritize and become a communications coordinator at a clinic system. And I'm running an LGBTQ nonprofit in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, and studying abroad helped me become who I am today. It pulled me out of my shell, and I always encourage people to give it a chance and go. So I'm always going to sing the praises of the program.
If I could cut in just for a second, you know, I've known you since you were a student in London. Then you worked for us in France. You worked for us multiple times coordinating the Catalyst. And since then, of course, we've become pretty good friends in general, our families and all that. Let me ask you this, and then we're going to finish introducing other folks too. But, you know, I always think of you as somebody with a camera in your hand and somebody who's trying to absorb whatever's new and beautiful in your path. Were you always that kind of creative guy, or did something about the way you saw the world after Europe grab a hold of you and make you sort of chase after beauty, even though you're somebody who runs social media at a major kind of global hospital in South Mississippi? Were you always that creative guy?
I always had a camera in my hand, but I think traveling, especially working with Joni, I started to see things in a whole other level and finding the light and the beauty in some of the most darkest corners. And it really inspired me to pick up my camera and start shooting again. If it was a bit brighter in here, you could see some of my stuff in the background.
Well, we're super glad that you are here. I'd like to then talk to Rena. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey, who you are, and how we've connected and kind of and partnered really as human beings on the Catalyst journey? Because you're right there in the middle of the health sciences professions that we're talking to majors in tonight, aren't you?
Yeah. So I started as a student on the Catalyst in 2016. I was trying to navigate where I wanted to go with my psychology degree. I ended up falling in love with London. Actually applied to go to school there and got in for my master's. So it was great. And then I worked with Doug as a coordinator on the program 1 year. And then I think it was 2 years, I think, actually, once again in 2019. And I think the Catalyst, it really just opened up opportunities I never expected, like going to school in London. That's not something I had ever planned for. I was actually looking at schools here and then just decided to apply in London. And like I said, I got in. It was the best experience of my life. I spent a year over there and I really want to go back. So,
Well, and it's no spoiler to say, Serena, you're coming over as our program manager. We'll talk about health and safety in a minute, but I will say, more than anybody I know, you know every single clinic, every place that's a pharmacy in London, Paris, Berlin, and Prague, because over the course of taking hundreds of students in for the sniffles and everything else, you know your way around. Is that accurate?
yeah, we went to emergency rooms in London, Paris, Berlin, Prague. Even went to court in Prague because we had an incident occur with one of the students and had to go talk to the Czech police. That was an interesting experience, to say the least. But yeah, definitely went to a lot of different clinics in all the cities.
Well, I think we'll talk more about that in a few minutes, but it is important to note at the outset, when students come on the Catalyst program, their parents are trusting our organization to take care of their young people in every way we possibly can. And one of the reasons why we staff up the way we do with people like Keenan, who's been on the program multiple times, or with you, Serena, who've done this as a student and then as a coordinator, is because we as a program have got to be prepared for what we don't know is coming. And, that's what it means to have agile, clever, professional people who are 24/7 available and living in the same kind of hostile area with the students. And Keenan's done it, you've done it, and we're going to meet Abby in a few minutes here, who will be doing it this summer with the Catalyst as the person who's reporting to you. So glad you're here.
Doug, I just wanted to say, a lot of times that the students had to go to the emergency room, they thought that they would have to be sent home. But one thing that I love about the Catalyst is that they helped accommodate those students that did have those emergencies that were, just unexpected. So don't think that just because something occurs, you're going to be counted out or sent home from the program. They do try and work with you.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate that being said, because there have been times when I've had to go to Boots Pharmacy because the blisters get so bad walking all around campus, all around our cities, like we do 5 to 7, 8, even 10 miles a day, make for a really intense kind of experience. I'm adding Lauren and Daryl back to the, or to our, let's see if is Lauren in now too? Lauren, are you in? Yay!
I believe so. Hello.
And do we have, let's see, do we also have, here we go. Here comes Daryl too. I'll bring him in too. Fantastic! Woo! All right. But without further ado, Sophia, I'm coming for you. Every time I'm in Pensacola, who is my go-to person to talk about the Catalyst?
Me?
You. And I do it because you've got that equestrian's poise, that major kind of polished, and you have a fantastic story. Tell us who you are, what you're doing now, and just we're so lucky to have you in the Catalyst family. You know, we had an amazing experience with you with us, and you presented the program for us before at UWF. Tell us more about you and what's so special about you.
So I did the program back in 2019. I've since graduated from UWF. I graduated in 2020 with my bachelor's. I'm in a master's program right now. I'm going for my BCBA. Something interesting about me that some people don't know straight off the bat is I have a spinal cord injury, so I have a physical disability. So any students that have some sort of physical ailment and think that that's going to limit them with this catalyst, even though it's a lot of walking, don't. If you are worried about that, do not worry. They will take care of you. They will find a bus. They will find a cab. Dr. Tubre, when we were in Prague and Paris, got one of the scooters to zip around on. It was terrifying, but it got the job done. You will not be left behind. Now, like I said, I'm working on my master's program. I found a new job. The Catalyst program is amazing. It definitely gave me a huge confidence boost. I was kind of in a rough place mentally before I went on. And then after going on the Catalyst program, I was like, if I can navigate a foreign airport in the Czech Republic by myself, I think I can get through life just all right. Mm-hmm. So highly, highly recommend. Everyone is amazing. So many resources. Definitely a once in a lifetime opportunity. So thank you, Dad.
Well, thank you. You know, it's just you all know that I text with you regularly or as often as we can to try and stay in touch and see if there are things that we can do to help y'all. I appreciate what you say about the way the program faculty and staff support the family of students who come with us, because especially coming out of COVID and the sense we've all had of like our world shrinking behind masks and all kinds of restrictions and whatnot, I think it is really key to make clear how holistic we are as a program in the way we look at you and see you. So in your case, Sophia, yeah, it involved the occasional Lime scooter ride, but what we got out of that and the toughness and the grit and the resilience that you showed, and you always did it, at least in front of us, you always did it with this grace and this power that I guarantee you the other students sat back and thought, holy crap, this young leader is super special and is the person we want to emulate when we can. So we're jacked that you're here. Okay, let me turn the tide right now to Abby Ashauer, also a young alum of our program, another student who's getting a master's degree, another student with a psychology undergrad degree. This time, Abby's not paying to come over as a student. This time, we're paying Abby to come over as a coordinator. Abby, what do you think we saw in you when you were a student that has made it so we love you and we think you're going to be fabulous helping us with the lives of these students in our hands? Why do you think we came to you?
I think for Serena and I are like a great pair. Like Serena's kind of like, I remember a situation back in Prague where Serena just like grabbed the bull by the horns and, you know, handled it, versus like, I'm like, I'll sit back and like, if you need to talk about your feelings, what's going on, like, let's mediate something. So I'm going to school to be a school counselor. So I'm in my master's program right now. So I'm on that level of empathy and connection and connecting people and bringing it together, because that's what it's about. And I think I've come in contact with so many professors over my career with my undergraduate and graduate degree right now. But my two professors that I had in Catalyst 2019 are the ones that I had the most connection with. and I'm so grateful for. So it's that, and my other friend Lauren on here, we went to Europe together in 2019, and without that trip, I don't think our friendship would be where it is today.
That's cool. I can tell you too, just you exude care. I'm not, you're a person like all of us. You're a person who has had tremendous success, and you've also had things in your life that have been hurdles that you've needed to overcome. And I am absolutely thrilled that the grit you show, the cleverness you show, and just the love of learning. I like to tell students, and they don't always like to hear it, but one thing that's really hard to coach in life is a simple thing for people like us: curiosity. Curiosity. You're a fundamentally curious person, like Keenan is, like Sophia is, like Joni is, and like Serena is, and that is infectious. So we're super glad you're here. I want to turn to a couple of our alumni who are here, both of whom had health sciences or have health sciences as a degree plan. In your case, Daryl, you're actually graduating from pharmacy school at ULM. Is that right?
Yes, sir. That's correct. This May. So
cool.
Looking forward
to
to
you
it.
did the Catalyst a couple summers ago as a pre-pharm. There are students out there listening today thinking like, these guys don't offer chemistry on this program. They don't offer, pharmacokinetics. Why do I go? So let me ask you this, man. What did you take when you were on the Catalyst, and how do you think it helps you?
I just think, for me, it was an opportunity. I did it the summer before I started pharmacy school. And looking back now, I'm so glad that I did, because I'm about to start my career, maybe have a family soon. I mean, down the road, but I don't know when I'm going to get the opportunity to go back. And so it was just such a great experience to get out of Louisiana and experience those different cultures, meet other people. I didn't know anybody on the program. The coordinators are great. Dr. Mack is great. Dr. Noble is great. I took both of their classes in history and photography. My baseline photography was 0, but Dr. Noble was very accommodating to all levels of skill. And I was able to, make a portfolio that I still have and look at sometimes, when I reminisce. But it was just such a great experience, really once in a lifetime. And I'm so glad that I did it.
Well, I remember I had you in my World War I class, I think, and
Yes,
you
sir.
laid back as a student. You were letting some of the history majors and the art majors and the lit people who were in my class lead some of the discussions. And yet, if I ever needed like a really succinct kind of comment from a student, you were always 100% there. And what I think, like in the case of my class, I like to teach about battlefront situations that relate to psychology and that relate to medicine and to nursing and to pharmacy. And I like to talk about who those frontline medics were and what the fight was like on the Western Front during the First World War, or in my second class in Berlin and Prague on the Holocaust and the Nazis. I talk a ton about health professionals on both sides of that war. The health professionals who helped keep our Allied soldiers alive in places like the Battle of the Bulge in the winter of 1944, and the monstrous physicians, pharmacists, and others who worked on Hitler's behalf to promulgate the horrors of the Holocaust. So it's not an easy set of topics we explore in our different classes, but we definitely try and bring it home. And for you to say that it's been important to you to take into pharmacy school, I think, man, that means a lot to me, Daryl, and I appreciate it. Did you also take Dr. Noble's class, if I'm right?
Yes, sir. I did your World War I class, and then I did Dr. Noble's class the second half. So
all right. So let me ask the $1 million question. Does your girlfriend ask you to take pictures of things for her? Does she consider you a photographer? Where are you at on the photography piece that Dr. Noble worked so hard to teach you?
I definitely took away some skills, the angles, and sometimes you got to rotate the phone around. But yeah, I'm definitely the go-to guy to take pictures, especially, when the girls want a picture and they all want to be in it, so they got to get somebody to take it. So I'm kind of the trusted one on that aspect.
I like that. Okay, fantastic. All right, Lauren, you're here as an alum. You've graduated, I believe, also from the University of Wisconsin River Falls as a psychology major. How have you felt the Catalyst has helped you as a young kind of health professional or health sciences person, a psychology person? How have you benefited from the Catalyst already? And how do you think it'll help you when you maybe go to grad school or get a job application? Catch us up on you.
Okay, yes, I did graduate in 2020 from River Falls. I went to on the Catalyst in 2019. And I think I took a lot of things out from the Catalyst trip, especially in my career today. I am currently in grad school to become a board certified behavior analyst working in ABA therapy. I work one-on-one with children with autism and with behavioral disorders. And I discovered the job right before I went to the Catalyst. And then after I came back from the Catalyst, right away I started realizing and noticing changes in my own behaviors, in how I looked at and treated other people, as well as learned a lot of things with history, and in regards to a lot of the psychology aspects that I learned in my 2 psychology classes that I took on the Catalyst. I use a lot of it on a daily basis, especially right now. I have several clients who are going through different changes in their lives, in sexuality changes, and in the gender and sexuality class that I took at the Catalyst made me think and change the way that I thought about a lot of different things. It really helped me grow, and it's something that really has helped me develop to become a professional in my field, which I'm so grateful for. I will never be able to get another amazing experience like that again. I'm so glad that I was able to experience something like that. And then also, I'm currently making plans to possibly work abroad in several years from now after I graduate with my degree. But I am hoping to take ABA therapy to other countries, and without going to the Catalyst, I would not have ever made that decision.
I think that's so heartening to hear. I'm going to quickly share a screen here just briefly that I hope y'all can see. Did this come up? Did it come up? Okay. This is Princeton University, widely considered as one of the top 4 institutions for undergraduates, along with Yale, Stanford, and Harvard. Gets very close to recommending that pre-meds interested in study abroad go for intellectual and personal growth alone. Okay. The reason I put that up there is because I think the important thing for us to understand is for many Catalyst students, there is no course that's explicitly in their major. That's just a fact of life. And so I'm trying to turn up my phone is clicking away for some reason. For many Catalyst students, it comes down to an issue of how can this make me a better person? How can this increase my grit, my tenacity, my creativity, my problem-solving abilities, my capacity to explain hard ideas in simple ways that will get purchased with my audience? And I think that's why if you look at like Harvard Medical School, the number one thing they're looking for undergrads is not somebody who crushed their medical school entrance exam. They're not just looking for people who were biochemistry majors. They're looking for English majors and history majors or econ majors, people who aren't in the hard sciences. And then they're looking for people who studied abroad. Every single conversation that I have in my professional life with HR people who hire at Google or Deloitte or Gong or any number of huge companies, Prudential, Merck, you name it. The one thing they come back to time and time again about what they want in young professionals is they want the kind of poise we just heard from you, Lauren. They want somebody who can take something like study abroad and explain why it's important and why being creative and being eager to meet the world is a set of life skills that we all have to embrace today. Even when we're stuck behind masks or we're on a Zoom kind of format like this, the truth is, what's waiting for us out there? It's the world. And how are we going to get out there? We've got to lead with who we are. And we have to lead with openness and a willingness to engage with communities that are not the same as us, that don't have the same, Daryl, you're from a small town, Louisiana. I'm from Stillwater, Minnesota. Sophia, as I recall, you're the Florida Panhandle. Is that right? It's a big world. Keenan, you're Hattiesburg, Mississippi. It's a big world out there. And regardless of whether we come from small towns or otherwise, maybe we come from Baltimore, a big city. The truth is, we have to go out and meet the world. And we have to try to strive for being creative, for engaging with what our purpose is in life. And honestly, Lauren, I'm sure all the talking I'm doing is not coming close to saying all that you said so eloquently. Let me shift gears here and do this. Abby, for you, when you paid to come on the Catalyst, was it easy for your family to be like, all right, our daughter wants to go to Europe for 5 weeks. Let's just send the butler up with a satchel full of cash and she can go to Europe? Or was this something you had to put together and make happen for yourself?
So for me personally, I think Lauren could speak on the financial situation as well too. My mom is a very penny pincher. So the second I brought this up, she was like, no, no, it's going to be way too expensive, blah, blah. And then I told her the number. And then she started doing the calculations in her head, and then like credits and the experience and that it offers, what the Catalyst offers and such, for like the housing and things. And it all comes together. And she was like, no way, this for the amount that you pay. Such, it was housing. And there's some lighting. Okay, so, but this, for the amount that you pay, it has some weird feedback. Hopefully you guys don't hear that. But basically I'm just really grateful for my mom being the penny pincher side, but also seeing that what you're paying for is beyond priceless of what you can even get in a college education at your institution that you're at now. It's beyond, when they say priceless, it sounds so like, it's priceless, but it really is.
Well, I think that's so important, Abby, and I appreciate that perspective. Could we have others in the group talk about how they funded the Catalyst? Because typically, our students from Pensacola and our students from River Falls and from Asheville, North Carolina, from all over, our students have to figure the money out. It's not like a simple deal. Who else did this work? Serena?
Yeah, so I got a scholarship, but it didn't cover like not even half the amount. So I was actually working full time at the prison, and I pulled a bunch of overtime shifts to make it happen. And my parents, like when I told them initially, they told me I was crazy. You can't go. Europe is dangerous. They've never been. And I thought it was funny because my dad was in the military. He traveled all around the world, but they weren't very supportive. So I just had to, work some overtime shifts and make it happen. But I didn't really have any support.
Okay. That's
But it's worth it. It's completely worth it. I mean, like I said, it's life-changing. There's opportunities that came about that I would have never even dreamed of. So
Did anybody take out just plain old loans to do this?
I did.
Who did?
I did. Lauren did.
Yeah.
Okay, Lauren, can you tell us about that process and how you felt? Because a lot of students hearing this are like, maybe they're lucky and they haven't had to borrow money yet much. But, how do you feel now? You borrow the money or some of the money to do this. Now you have to pay it back. That's the way loans work, sadly. How do you feel?
So Well, a couple of things. At first, when I first represented or presented this to my parents, they were also very against it. I remember Abby and I actually on the phones with our parents and helping each other and advocating for each other to be able to go on this trip. And Abby and I really leaned on each other to work through being able to pay for this trip, as well as um, I applied for loans through FAFSA. I talked to a lot of people at my school that help with like the study abroad trips and that kind of stuff. So I was really lucky to be able to lean on those people. And Professor Toubre and Dr. Seafelt, they all really advocated for us to get into meetings with different people throughout the university to help us apply to the loans. And actually, applying for the loans were so easy. And that it was really helpful for me. I honestly think that using the loans was 100% worth it because I was going to be using loans for paying for school anyhow. And all of the things that I learned and got from the trip was like worth every single penny that I'll be paying back with interest. Like it, and it's not a terrible amount either. It was only a couple $1,000, and so honestly, it was so worth it to be able to have that experience and to be granted that experience through the loans. And I also had the scholarship, and I also worked really hard, like Serena too. I also had a job saving up, and I saved every single penny. And Abby really advocated for me on doing that too. She would always tell me to save every penny, but the actually being able to save up that money too was really nice for when we were in Europe and being able to use that on experiences when we were in Europe as well.
Cool. Well, I want to talk more about money, but I want to talk about the Catalyst community for a minute because I think it's super important. In every one of the years we've run the Catalyst, we've tried to be strong allies to our LGBTQ community members, to people who are in transition, identity transition, to people who are non-gender conforming in their identity, and of course to our students of color and who come from ethnic communities that are not usually seen on study abroad. So let me ask you, Sophia, because your dad and mom are people I don't think I did talk to. Typically, I do talk to lots and lots of parents who may be worried about a daughter, worried about a son. And I found, to be totally candid, I've had more of those conversations with parents who come from the African American community. And in your case, coming over as you did after all the spinal operations you'd had and with your disability, which to those of us who know you kind of disappears, and yet it's very, very real. I understand 100%. How did you feel as a young Black woman in our community and with our arms hopefully around you in ways that lifted you up? Did you feel that, and how was that for you, and how did your family feel about it when you came home?
Yeah, so I was, of course, really nervous to go on it. Not, I wasn't so much worried about the racial aspect. I was worried, am I going to be able to keep up? Am I, going to be able to enjoy this experience? I also worry, am I going to be a burden to other people? But you guys never made me feel like a burden. You never made me feel like I was an inconvenience to anybody. You always made me feel very welcome. Serena, you were awesome. Like there were so many times when you helped me out on the trip. So thank you again. Love you for that. There was also Mike. So Mike's not on here, but he is a very tall, very large man. And I remember I was like, I'm probably going to annoy him because I'm going to have to walk next to him for at least 30 minutes out of the day. But he's such a sweetheart. All of the professors, all of the I'm blanking on the name now, but I felt,
Coordinators.
yes, thank you. All of the coordinators were incredible, so sweet, and so willing to help, and also all of the other students as well. Uh, it was incredible, truly, and I can say for a fact that I agree with Lauren. It is worth every penny, not just for the experience, but also I have made friendships with people that I still talk to. I'm actually currently texting Lee, another girl that I met on the Catalyst, and we make plans to meet up and hopefully see each other again when the time is right. But uh, go ahead.
No, it's just so touching to hear this, the engagement and the safety. I mean, for us, safety is not simply keeping you out of harm's way. Safety for us is like creating a community of trust and a community where you know if you have an issue, there's a coordinator or a manager or professor you can go to. And then, of course, to hear this about you and your fellow alum Lee still being connected. I mean, that's like a gold nugget for us as your faculty to pick up and carry around with us, Sophia. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Keenan, what about you? You've seen generations of young people come through the Catalyst program now. You've seen what we try and do to ally ourselves with the various communities that sometimes just need to know that we have their back, no matter what. And I'd like you to speak a little bit about that as a Black male who you've kind of told us you're very involved in the LGBTQ community. Tell us what you've done on the Catalyst or that you've seen us do as a team to show the allyship that can make this program feel like a platform for everybody who wants it.
Yeah, I think from the time I was a student, even through all the times working the program, I was encouraged to be myself and to not feel like I needed to be different or put up a different sort of facade while I was with my class. So it really helped me in, as I said earlier, coming into my own. And I see it every year as more and more students who aren't just like gay, but even just across the queer spectrum are joining this program, and you're making sure that you have the inclusive language and people with the level of acceptance to care for those students. And I think that's very important.
Mm-hmm. Well, you've been such I think you and I go back now, maybe 10 years in our friendship and our colleagueship and our relationship. And I mean, we're basically at the point where I'll travel for pleasure to see you because you're such a special person and you have taught me so many things about allyship and about using voice and about asking questions. I remember riding on the S-Bahn in Berlin in 2019 with one of our trans students. And I just sort of said, look, I'm that guy who wants to get this right, but is encumbered by not being young. So I don't have that nimbleness and I don't have that agility. And I haven't been raised in classrooms where I know who I'm seeing. And so help me with the language. And can I ask some questions? And that S-Bahn ride was one of the great kind of moments for me to feel like I was meeting a person whose life was hard in ways that I really had to think cleverly to understand how those ways were hard and what they were. So I feel like the program has done that for the faculty, certainly for me. And you've been completely vitally important in doing all that. So also I say thanks to that. Let me, if I can, briefly share another screen. This one is the program website itself. And what I'd like to do here, if I'm able able to do this full screen layout, I'd like to just give a brief overview here so that people understand what we're talking about when we talk about the catalyst. The key to we are as a program is to look at the people as our family. But fast moving juggernaut of a thing that is a program. And when I say that, I mean that we move all around Europe. We teach in 4 incredible cities, London, Paris, Berlin, and Prague, over the course of 5 life-changing and amazing weeks. And you come home from our program with 6 academic credits. These are our travel dates. We fly out actually on May 22nd, arriving on May 23rd, and we're there until June 26th of 2022. And the key to understanding, you guys have all said this better than a website ever can. I just want to do this quickly. Our program is about going where the cities are your home, the streets are your classroom, and our students have the chance to use amazing places and historic markers and traditional Irish pubs in London or cafes in Paris or museums in Berlin and Prague as their living laboratories. It's also key to understand that on the Catalyst, you'll never be in a traditional classroom other than when you take the final exam for your first class in Paris and your last class in Prague. Otherwise, we're out in the streets every single day, meeting the community that is our world. We fly the pride flag on our website, and we show the faces of the people who are part of the Catalyst family. There's Mike Medine you were talking about just a second ago, Sophia, and there you are. And we show these faces because these are the people who have taught us. These are the faces and the personalities and the young minds that have come on our program and that have shaped what the Catalyst's identity, experience, and value set are for a whole generation of young people who set the course for this incredible journey. The cities, I don't even know what to say. Who among our group would say London is perhaps number 1 for you? Is anybody the London person out of our group?
London was my favorite.
Okay.
Mine too.
Coordinator.
Okay, what is, like, for you, what is the most amazing experience or the most amazing thing about London that really makes that place come alive as you think about it right now?
Anyone else can jump into.
I'll hop in. So I'm going to be going a little ahead of myself. I love Paris, but I think for even you Londoners, you just love the feel of being in the city. I don't think there's one specific thing for me about Paris that I will say, oh, I have to do this every time I'm there. But just walking down a sidewalk in Paris is absolute magic to me. And that's why I love that city.
Yeah, Keenan, that's how
why
I feel
you
about
always
London.
have a camera. Pardon me?
I'll say, Keenan, that's how I feel about London. Is I loved it so much, I literally made it my home for a year because I just didn't want to leave. There's just something about walking down the streets, just hopping on a double decker and seeing the whole city. And it's just incredible. There's so much to do. One of my absolute favorite things to do was every single day I would take my book, find a different park, sit down for an hour and just read.
Mm-hmm. I think that's something that Joni Noble and I have talked a lot about in the past, is getting students acculturated to that experience of putting down the phone, putting down the device, pick up an old school notebook or a sketchbook and saddle up to a cafe chair in any of our cities or a pub booth in London and take the time to reflect and engage in just the sort of mindfulness that we all need to keep from burning out and feeling exhausted. So we've got some thumbs up for London. We've got some big ups for Paris. Joni, do you want to say a word or two about your beloved Berlin? Because this photo or this image and little digital short are right around Museum Island in your favorite Hockershore Market neighborhood. What do you love about Berlin?
Well, I love Berlin. I have to agree with Keenan that Paris is my favorite. There's nothing like the cafe culture in Paris for an artist and for someone who enjoys people watching. But the museums in Berlin are probably the finest museums I've ever been in. I mean, I love the Louvre in Paris, but Museum Island has so much to see, so much art, so much history. You can go to the top of that radio tower there and see the entire city. There's a restaurant and a revolving bar up there. It's really a great spot to see all the sights of the city. My class went to the Reichstag, which is the equivalent of the United States Capitol building. And we would go at dusk and photograph Berlin from the top of the Reichstag building. That was another incredible experience. The street food in Berlin is amazing. The food there, the food in every city is a big highlight for me. But yeah.
Okay. Well, I would say on Prague's behalf, our final city, what students feel about Prague typically is surprise, because the cloying, medieval, almost wedding cake beauty of the city, after all we've seen on our other 3 stops and then on the acceleration week-long travel break, you think that there's a point you've reached where nothing can totally blow you away with charm and just dynamism. And then, there's the Charles Bridge and the Jewish ghetto quarters on the other side, and Kafka's museum, and the bakeries and the coffee shops and the museums and the public art and the Lenin Wall. It just goes on and on. So for me, what I love so much about Prague is it is the city that was at once like hugely historically important during the Second World War and during the Cold War, but it seems to have avoided the thing that has ruined so many other cities, which is the actual fact of living war in the midst of the town. Prague wasn't significantly bombed or destroyed during World War II. So in fact, in German movies today about Germany or about Berlin, almost all of them, it turns out, end up being filmed in fantastic, gorgeous Prague. Let me shift gears here for a quick second. One of the things students love about the Catalyst is that after we do our London and Paris week and you finish your final exam for that first class you take, students are free for a week of travel called Acceleration. Lauren, if you'd be willing, can you tell us what you did on Acceleration and why you think that free week in the middle of the program was important to your development?
Lauren, I think we lost Lauren. You may have to let her
Lauren,
back.
we lost you. Lauren, we lost you just as I would.
Oh no, you're fine. You're
Sorry
fine.
about
I'm
that,
not sure
Lauren.
what happened, but I'm okay. It's all good. Can you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
Sure. I was just asking you, where you went on Acceleration and how you feel that week of free travel right in the middle of the program was important to you, and how you've developed confidence and competence and all those things we hope happen to you.
Okay. Very good question. So I went to visit my best friend who lives in Germany, like one of my very close friends. I got to go to Hamburg, Germany, for a week, and then I visited a bunch of smaller cities along the Baltic Sea, and traveled a little bit more around smaller cities and the countryside of Germany. That was an incredible journey to go on. To see a friend of mine who I hadn't seen in years, was very amazing. But actually the journey to get from France to Germany was definitely a really big step up in my independency, because I had to get up from our hostel in Paris, and I had to figure out how to get myself to the airport at 4 o'clock in the morning. The airport in Paris was a whirlwind of excitement to get through. But I got there all on my own. I was able to use a little bit of broken French that I know to be able to communicate with people to find my plane. And then I made it to Germany on my own. And then I got to see my friend who I hadn't seen for 8 years. So it was incredible to be able to have that experience, as well as my friend and I traveling around Germany together, and getting to see her home where she lives. And because she is from Germany, and I met her through an exchange program that she came to America for. So it was an amazing experience to have that, as well as having an incredible experience to take a train from the Hamburg to Berlin on my own as well, and seeing the countryside again. It was amazing. I absolutely loved it. And it was a very nice break from a lot of different things that we learn and get to do in the other classes. It was a nice tiny little break just to be able to recharge and be prepared for the other 2 weeks. It was so amazing.
Let me ask Sophia, if I can, what did you do on acceleration, and were you able to manage your budget so that this week of independent travel did not break your budget?
Yeah, so I traveled with one other person, and we stayed in Paris an extra an extra day or so, and just went and we found a cute little cafe. But we actually decided to go to Greece, and I found a small town called Nafplio. It's a little coastal town, and it was just a really nice break from the hustle and bustle of the large cities because it was super small and quaint, a lot more my style, honestly, because I'm not a big city girl. And we just enjoyed the quiet, the quiet scenery. We enjoyed some cafes, just the local cuisine. Greek donuts are incredible, I must say. And it really didn't break the bank too much because the food was incredible, but it really wasn't too expensive. I even got some little knickknacks from the local marketplace that took place every night. And I got to really experience how different Europe is in the sense that the cities come alive at night. We arrived at our Airbnb at probably 11:30 at night, and normally you don't see anyone walk around, but we saw middle-aged women just strolling through the streets.
Mm-hmm.
In no hurry whatsoever. So it was really nice. It was a really nice break from the hustle and bustle of the large cities, being in a smaller town.
I love that approach. You get Keenan and me talking about small towns in France. We can go on and on. Am I right about that, Keenan? All right.
Oh, my stars.
Well, look,
good old Pont of Voix.
Exactly. So the key to understanding Catalyst is that you get 6 academic credits. And we're talking about all kinds of things from allyship to travel to you name it. But the bread and butter of this program is an academic fact. And in London and Paris, each student will take one class for 3 academic hours. That class will either be our iconic behavioral clinical psychology course called Madness. That's the #1 most popular course on the program. Or they'll take this awesome course in art and art history called Power, Persuasion, and Beauty, taught by the astonishing Dr. Kaylee Spencer of UW River Falls. Or we'll walk together where the shells fell, where the bodies were piled up, and where World War I did its incredible globe-altering damage in London, Paris, and over the battlefields of northern France when we do the course I teach called We Were Very Young. Finally, London and Paris has an option that is fantastic for health science, pre-pharmacy, and psychology majors, a psych course called Mindfulness. Y'all, when I talk to health professionals, and when I talk to high-level business friends of mine, the number one thing I'm hearing about all the time, and this is actually relating to you too in your future career, Daryl, burnout is a massive issue for our tech sector employees, our business leaders, and our health professionals. That's why Dr. Bernal's course, Mindfulness, is so important. It helps our young health science professionals learn now when they're young and have the chance to build their careers on the foundation of Darren's course, to be really mindful and aware of the things that stress them, that relax them, that trigger them, so that you too, if you take this class, may be lucky enough to say what bunches of our students have told us after they get home, that after mindfulness with Dr. Bernal, this is the first time many of our alumni have been able to get off anxiety medicines they started taking as 14, 15, and 16-year-olds. And that is huge. If you're interested in art therapy, if you do yoga, if meditation's your game, you're really going to love Dr. Bernal's class. So then we get to Berlin and Prague. Session 2 of the Catalyst kicks in. Again, you have 4 classes to choose from. You can only take one. If you're really into psychology, our amazing course, Madness 2, looks at the rise of the Nazis and the Cold War period, and it is just horrifying and really moving as a course. Dr. Seefeld is an amazing professor. Then Dr. Toubre teaches our epic course on sexuality, gender, and the self. And he's all over Berlin and Prague teaching this course, looking at Magnus Hirschfeld and the early history of sexology in the Weimar Republic, looking at the time in German and European history when LGBTQ and trans people could travel openly and legally through the city and register their identities, all the way through the rise of the Nazis and the Cold War period to issues today like human trafficking and sex work in the cities where we're visiting. Dr. Toubre teaches an amazing course, and health science professionals, pre-pharmacy students, and psych majors love it. The 2 final courses we offer are my course, In the Garden of Beasts, which is about the Nazis and the Holocaust. And this is a course that is always popular with students because they have so many questions about where Hitler came from. How did he gain power? Why and how did he single out the Jews? And how was the Holocaust actually made to happen? So we teach in places like a concentration camp to bring home the message of our course. It's not an easy set of subject materials, but it's absolutely life-changing and gut-wrenching. And the last course, beloved by our art students, is called Art Scope. It's about outsider art, taggers and graffiti artists, and all those people who try and make public art so that when we walk through our average daily lives, whether it's on a college campus at UL Monroe or in a city like Berlin, we can come face to face with some shards of beauty that can help transport us from our daily lives. So those are the basics on the courses. Everybody in this chat will have the favorite course they took. But before we open that up, I want to say just a couple words about money. Students tell us time and time again, this is the best money they've ever spent in college. And we believe for our students, that's absolutely true. For students who stay home this summer and take 6 hours of academic credit, most of them at our campuses will be spending about $5,000 or a little more. If you do the Catalyst, you spend a couple thousand more. $73.99 is the program price. That includes deposit, 6 hours of credit, housing in our center cities, breakfast every day, all our required museum visits, all the transport we have required for our classes. And the critical thing, this is you, Serena, and this is you, Abby, and this may be you, Lauren, too, if we jump you onto the train with us. The support these coordinators and this manager bring, in addition to what we do as faculty so we know the students, is key, especially as parents think about the COVID moment that we've all been suffering through over the last 2 years and the final kind of opening up as we turn the corner away from the pandemic. I can assure you, as the director of this program, as a father myself, and as a professor on the Catalyst, there's nothing we take more seriously than the safety and health of the young people who come on the Catalyst program. So 24/7 Catalyst support is easy to write, but it's Serena, it's Abby, and it's Lauren, if she comes, who will help us actually deliver this. And like Keenan did before, and like all the other coordinators have before, y'all know this is a lot of work, but the pleasure and pride you feel for doing it is, I think, super special too. Included in the price, travel between London and Paris, travel between Berlin and Prague. Students spend extra money on their international flight. We typically say $1,000 or under would be our goal. Acceleration break, I just showed the blog post when Lauren and Sophia were talking. We have a post up on our website right now showing how you can do a whole acceleration week using our actual dates for $266 and be in Italy, in Venice for a couple of days, and then in Rome. Then extra meals, insurance, passport, and so on brings you to the total price of the program. We're getting close to a wrap-up point. And what I want to do before I return to all of you to have some final words is to show students the most critical piece of information we can give tonight. How to get a roster spot for the Catalyst. You click here on our home page of the website on apply, and boom, it takes you into an application that takes about 3 minutes to do. You put down a $300 deposit to secure your roster spot. We've had 7 students apply for the Catalyst today. We had 4 apply yesterday, and we expect all these roster spots that we have left to be totally gone by the end of February. So our question to all of you who are watching now live with us or who will watch after is, can you do this program with us? Do you want to do this program with us? And we hope that your answer will be, yes, you do, and that you're going to do the application. Let me ask you all this. You all borrowed money to do this, talked your parents into doing this, justified this for yourself. It's been a minute since you were there, and you've had to make payments on those loans. You've had to sort out all kinds of things. Serena, when you think about what the program's meant to you and your professional life, your master's degree, what are some final words you'd say about the Catalyst? And is there anything you want to add as a program manager to help parents and students understand that their young people are going to be safe, because you're going to be on the other end of that bat phone if there's a problem?
I would say that the program changed my life. It made me look at a lot of things and really learn about myself and know that I can overcome a lot of different obstacles in life, things that I never thought I would have to do. And so if you're thinking about joining the Catalyst, stop thinking and just do it, because it's worth it. It will change your life, and you will make those lifelong friendships. I still talk to 3 people from my Catalyst days in 2016 when I was a student. We keep in contact. We meet once a year. So you're always going to have like some level of support, and you will make connections with people, and not just with people, but you'll have this more like well-rounded idea of the world and have these experiences that other people don't get to go on or have. Okay. And as for the parents, I'll be there. A couple of the 3 from 2019 are here, and they can tell you that, I've protected them when they've gotten into tough situations, or if there was an incident where somebody was, I don't want to say like harming them, but could potentially be a harm. I stepped in and took care of it and made sure that they were safe. When they were sick, I would get on the train with them, take them back to the hostel, look after them. So there's a lot of safety and health protocols that go into this. And it's not just me, there's other staff members that do the same thing, but just to let you know, I will be there. So.
Well, the thing that you just mentioned briefly when you introduced yourself, you do have a background as a prison guard, which you look at you and you don't necessarily see the toughness, but I know the toughness that you bring, and we need that. Sometimes the students need to be whipped into line. Sometimes you have students who decide they're coming over and they're going to party too much, and we're a serious program that's meant to push you academically every single day. And I feel so great having you, and Abby, I feel great having you too. Can you offer some confidence to the students who are listening live or will be tuning in after the fact, or their parents who might get this sent to them? You'll be also on the other end of that bat phone if there's a problem. How do you feel about your readiness to step in and nurture students who need it and help them regardless of what comes up?
From looking at it in a school counselor role, I can see that I'll be helping a lot of students understand and mediate anything going on and help with just students' frustrations, anxieties, stressors about it's stressful when you're like, oh my gosh, I lost my passport, I need to get a new one. Or, oh my gosh, I need help booking my acceleration and I haven't booked it yet. Or, oh my gosh, like I lost my phone in the street or I lost my credit card. We're here to help. That's what we're here. And your children are safe with us and you'll be safe with us as well.
All right. I like that. I like that a ton. Let me just say to the people tuning in tonight live or after the fact, and parents, a quick thing about COVID. The countries we're going to, the airports we're landing at, the hostels we're staying at, the museums we're going to, the cafes and bars, all of that. At this point, all of those places require active vaccination status and booster status. All of our students will have to have vax cards showing that they are up to date and current with their COVID vaccinations. And this is not per se a political discussion. This is a discussion about being as safe as science has allowed us to try and be, while we also recognize that we'll be bringing masks with us. Unfortunately, we have to, have those. Everybody will have a couple of quick COVID tests required to bring over. And then we'll have Serena there. We'll have Abby there and potentially Lauren too, to help students who think they've got an issue, have a possible COVID exposure. We'll take them in, we'll get them checked, get them a COVID test, and we're going to have an extra 1 or 2 rooms in each of our hostels available as a sick room and a quarantine room for anybody who does test positive with a PCR test for COVID. So I just want to be clear about that. It's not like we're climbing on the soapbox and saying it's vax, 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 baby. But the truth of the matter is there's no way our staff, as good as we are, can try and manage students who didn't have a vaccination but want to get into the British Museum and get pulled to the side because they don't have a vaccination card. It'll just gum up the works of everything we try and do in the program. Plus, we've got students who are investing the dear savings and loan money that they'll need to invest to come on this program. And some of them, maybe all of them, are going to feel less comfortable being in a dorm room, even if it were possible to go into our hostel rooms without the vaccination. We'd have students who wouldn't feel comfortable doing that because they'd worry about their own health risk. So I do want to be clear on that we are going to be super careful with COVID and that vaccinations are going to be required. I'd like to ask you, Keenan, what are some last words you've got for these young people who are sitting there thinking, should I hit the apply button? There are limited roster spots. Every year we sell the program out and we have a waiting list, and it happens really quickly. Students who are hearing this now or get this sent to them in the next week or 10 days, if they want to go in the Catalyst, they're going to need to apply. What final words would you have, K-Dog, about the Catalyst and why you think students should hit the apply button and join this incredible journey?
I really can't emphasize enough how much this program changed me. And so I walked in a pride parade in Paris in 2014. And in 2015, I helped host the first Pride in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. You're going to go abroad and you're going to get this sense of a culture that you never understood, never knew existed, and you're going to grow as a person. You'll become a citizen of the world, and that's going to give you a much broader view, and it looks damn good on a resume.
I love that. You are always just the right amount of operator, K-Dog, and that's one of the reasons I love you. You always think lyrically and speak lyrically, but you need the bottom line to work for you. Sophia, any bottom line last things you'd like to say about the Catalyst, like that you think would help encourage people who are hearing this to just apply and just jump on the journey with us?
Absolutely. My biggest takeaway from this trip is that it truly gave me a huge confidence boost in the independent section. After coming back from the Catalyst, I told myself, I was like, you know what? I am perfectly comfortable booking a trip and going somewhere by myself and knowing that I'm going to be okay. It taught me a lot about planning. It taught me how to make connections with people and how to keep those connections from hundreds of miles away. It taught me problem solving. It taught me how to interact with people that I don't even speak the same language as, but still have a connection with. It taught me to really appreciate the different cultures in our world, and that I cannot recommend this program enough. I have truly wanted to travel so much more ever since I went on this program. It is absolutely worth every penny. The experiences we get are absolutely worth it. And when Doug says that you're not in a traditional classroom, he is 100% correct. Even when you take the final exams, we're still not even really in a classroom. We're in some nice church or something like that down the street. So, and then you get to go and have a coffee after you're done. Absolutely do it. 100%.
I love that. Thank you. Daryl, I want to come back to you here at the end too. You're about to finish pharmacy school and dive into the career that most of the people listening to this are, a couple years away from doing. What do you think about like how your perspective on the world changed because of the Catalyst, and what's the quick takeaway for you that's something you kind of keep in your back pocket from those 5-week days in Europe that you're going to use going forward for who knows what, but it's always there for you?
Yeah, definitely. I think made me realize how big the world is. As other people said, the confidence boost of navigating different countries and public transportation, that's not something I had done before. So just a confidence boost, and then meeting other people, not only within the program, but also locals, people that live in London. I met people from Ireland, Scotland, all kind of people that, I wouldn't have gotten the chance to meet with otherwise, and we still keep up. So, I mean, just, interacting with people from different cultures and just, as someone else said, getting a more well-rounded just perspective, and I think it's definitely contributed to me as a healthcare professional, and I can't wait to go back. And I've been there and done that, and now I have the confidence that I can do it on my own as well. So the program is definitely worth it. As far as financial, I also had to take out loans, and pharmacy school is quite expensive, and so to me it was just an extra cost, but it was definitely worth every penny.
So glad to hear that. Joni, I want to go to you then. You and I have taught together in the streets of all these cities, and we've done it for more than a decade. We've seen about every scenario that can possibly arise, from terrorist issues to terrible blisters to strikes to trains that are late, you name it. And yet every single summer we come back with bells on to do this again with a whole new cohort of students. What do you think for the ULM students and the students from small towns who may have conservative families who could look at this as a lark that's not worth their students' time? What do you say to students and families who stare at something like the Catalyst and the student says, I really think I want to do this, and the parents may say, we don't understand it? How would you encourage those students to talk to their families and get them on board with making this dream happen?
Well, I see a lot of fear in a lot of the students from ULM and from small towns in general. Many of the students at ULM that I work with have never even been on a flight. And the idea of flying into London Heathrow, for the first time is just overwhelming. And I've seen our students leave the Monroe Airport just terrified. And on the way home, they've told me, Dr. Noble, I feel like I can go anywhere in the world now. This has been one of the most empowering experiences I've ever had. And then they go on to do these great things like Daryl and Serena studying to get her master's in London. And it's the most exciting thing that I do in my calendar year every year. And it has changed me just witnessing all of these incredible young people who are going out and changing the world. And they're attributing the catalyst to that, which is, I'm just so proud to be a part of it. It's just do it. I mean, I'm telling you, it's cliche, but it's going to change your life.
I think that's super powerful, Joni. And, you know, I've loved doing this with you over these years. You know, we've met each other's children. We've seen other people's children in our care and in the care of our coordinators. And we've relished that time. I would echo what you're saying. The parents who are watching this, the grandparents, the minister, the tennis coach, whoever, you can trust that your young people are going to be held in the hearts of people like Joni and me and our team of manager and coordinator, because this is who we are. And these are the choices we've made with our careers to spend our time making this incredible journey take place. And Lauren, I'm going to actually give you the last word here. You're an alum. You have a health professional future. You're going to be working with autistic kids. You're already doing that. We know the kind of joy but burden that kind of work is on the professionals who do it. It takes a special demeanor to hang tough. The thing I know that businesses are looking for, and healthcare providers are too, is resiliency and grit. How do you think the catalyst helped you grow up, Lauren, and become somebody who's really in touch with the toughness you need to step out on the world stage and follow your calling to do the work you want to do?
That's a really great question. I think that, well, as you were asking that question, just a number of many things came to my mind with memories of the catalyst. I think that the things that I took out the most of in regards to my future and my what I've been able to take in and out of the Catalyst trip for my professional career was the tenacity of following through with meeting people in different cities, waking up in the mornings and going with like small groups to find where our classroom was that day, to find the independency to find our own food, to meet people that I've never met before, and from different countries who speak different languages, to be able to gain the courage to step outside my comfort zone and get to know other cultures, other people's lives, to learn different languages, to be able to ask questions, ask for directions, and to be able to learn and grow from everything that I learned in the classes in the Catalyst trip. I think that all those things have really transferred over to my professional career. Being able to sit back and think through how I'm going to handle certain situations. There are a couple times where I had to stop in the middle of a street and think through how am I going to handle certain situations when it comes to finding my way through a city, and going to get to a class on time, being able to get on the metro on my own, or with a group of people. But all of those things really taught me how to just take a step back and think through of how I'm going to handle every step of my situation in my day, as well as being able to sit back at the end of the day and think through how great my day was at my job, or what I could do better. And when I was in the Catalyst, I was doing that every single day, and it really helped me grow as a person.
I think that's super important. And you bringing us right home here, all of these beautiful comments from these dear friends of mine and alumni and colleagues. You know, as we come out of the pandemic, slowly out of this brutal time that's been so beyond anything we've known in our history, a lot of us look around like Joni and I do in our classrooms, and we see students who've come to college and have largely had to miss the connectivity, the community, and the sense of belonging and engagement that is supposed to be one of the main things we find when we're collegiates. And we've not been able to give that to our young people. So what I want to close with, as we all look forward to May 22nd, a Sunday morning, when folks are going to be going to airports who come on the Catalyst, getting on planes that afternoon and that evening, and then flying all the way over the Atlantic Ocean, landing in London Heathrow Airport. You know what's waiting over there? What's waiting over there for all of us is that community, is that sense of belonging, is that engagement, is that trust, and that allyship, and that sense that can never be taken away once we really wrap our arms around it and our mind around it, that the world is actually ours, that the world is us, and that it's our time. Students will often say, I'll do this junior year, or I'll do it after senior year. And I think I've always been really reluctant to let students get away with that, because I feel like I've said for generations, once a young person gets good at saying no, once a young person gets good at saying, I'll do that later, what they end up getting good at is missing opportunities that are right there. And I've had generations of Catalyst students say to me, I can't believe when I heard about this program and then I put down my deposit and signed up and I got my way to do this. I can't believe that I might have been this close to simply missing the whole opportunity. So as a last point, I simply want to say thank you to the people who've joined us tonight, our guests, our panelists, our Catalyst family. I want to say thank you to the people who tuned into the live stream and people who've listened to this after our live stream event as a recording. Because whether you come on this program or you even think about it again, or you become somebody who is passionate about it, like I think we all are, it's been a special experience for me, and I hope for everyone else, to connect tonight and to share with you what we think is one of the greatest dreams and the greatest journeys your young people can ever embark on. The Catalyst program, Europe's most moving classroom. Thank you.